Hello everyone, Hamas28 here, and today we're back in the world of Dusty Hell. Let's get right into it. So, as we left off last episode, we were working on the Theums, the final two, Petrotheum and Aerotheum. And I thought, oh, that would be fun to do on video. It wasn't. It was horrible. I hated it. And here's the final outcome of that. As you could see, it's a mess. It's a huge mess, and I hate it. This recipe chain is probably the recipe chain I probably dislike the most out of the entire pack. Everything else, not too bad because it was pretty straightforward. And while this was straightforward, it was just annoying to set up. So, and it's annoying because it takes so many things to do, and a lot of them I didn't already have, which is what made it so annoying. So you could see we have our Cryotheum dust here, we have our Aerotheum dust here, and then over here we have our Petrotheum dust. And I made the mistake of thinking, oh, well the Pyrotheum dust is right here, why don't I just keep it all next to each other? That was a mistake. I should have gave myself way more room. It all started when I decided, oh, they all need a fluid transposer. What if I just put 3 fluid transposers next to each other to handle the making of the powders? Yeah, should I have done that? Should have gave myself a lot more room. Anyways, that's most of my transgressions. To explain how the whole system works, if we take a look up here, it all starts with our nutrient distillation. I realize that pretty much all of these powders, for example, if you take a look at Aerotheum and Blitz powder, if you use anything but nutrient distillation, it takes 2 niter versus 1. So I thought, oh, how difficult is it to make nutrient distillation? And if you take a look, it's actually not that bad. It's actually really cheap. And because our mob farm produces a bunch of stuff, the main one being rotten flesh, I was like, oh, I could just get the rotten flesh and pipe it right into the vat, combine it with our essence, and then the sugar that also comes from the mob farm to make our nutrient essence. And that works out pretty well. It saves us a lot of materials. Now, it would be faster if I just did it directly from the essence, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference. That essence is then piped downstairs to this long pipe all the way to our machines over here where they're connected to the fluid transposers. So you can see each one is filled with nutrient distillation. This one mixes with niter to make the Blitz powder. This one over here mixes with these snowballs to make the Blizz powder. And it all works pretty well. Now the annoying part was actually getting the materials needed to make, to actually make the powders. So the Blizz powder is easy. Snowballs. Come over here, glacial precipitator, make snowballs, no problem. But then you have the Blitz powder, which takes niter, and guess what? You can only get niter in this pack. You can only get niter in this pack from pulverizing sand in a sag mill or in a pulverizer. That's it. That's it. If there was another way to do this, maybe I just didn't look around long enough to figure that out. But it seems like that was the only way. But it goes a step further, because if you look, you cannot pulverize sand into niter. You can pulverize red sand into niter, but it goes a step further. You cannot directly pulverize sand into niter. You can only pulverize sandstone into niter. That's it. So to actually get niter at a good pace, I had to build an igneous extruder to make cobblestone, send that cobblestone up into this pulverizer to make gravel, send that gravel up into this pulverizer to make sand, send that sand up into this analog crafter to make sandstone, send that sandstone into this pulverizer to then break it back into sand and niter. Luckily, sandstone in a pulverizer breaks down into 2 pieces of sand. So it's 50% efficient, and then all that niter gets pumped out back into the machine to make our Blitz powder. But then guess what? You also need niter in the vat to make your Zephyrian Aerotheum. It's horrible. And then on the next step, as you notice on the bottom, this crucible, So cobblestone is also getting sent downwards into this crucible to make lava, because you need lava to make obsidian. So I could send that obsidian into this pulverizer, so we can pulverize it into basalt powder and make our tectonic petroleum. Which is why we're so low. Well, actually, we're not really low on it, technically. There's just no backlog yet because it's so slow to make the obsidian. Which means the only way to scale it up is to use an igneous extruder, but then that costs a ton of water and lava, at which point it's like, what am I doing? Luckily, we don't need too much, but that makes all of our powders. Did I miss one? No. Aerotheum and tectonic petroleum were the new ones. But now that those are out of the way, we can move on to better things. Now, luckily, we do produce a ton of the fluid forms, so I can use these in other things as well, although I'm not actually sure what other uses they have, like this aerotheum. What do you actually, can you use it on anything else? And looks like you can actually use it for a viaduct. Never used that before, but that's actually about it. You can also use it to make power as well, but that doesn't seem too great since we already have so many ways to generate power. And then the tectonic petroleum doesn't do too much either. Now, funny enough, that Enderman teleporting leads into our next thing. Now that we have gelid cryoethium, I was able to make our environmental controller using gelid crystals. Really annoying, by the way, because to make this, you need gelid enderium dust, which is taking gelid cryoethium and mixing it with enderium blend. Why? But it's done, and then I made, let's see, where is it? Right here, the environmental controller. I put in our no teleport environmental module, and as you can see, I don't even think it does anything, because the Endermen are still teleporting around the base. It could just be I did something wrong. Not actually sure. Like maybe, because I see it in the top left there. Radius 50, redstone mode ignored. Players in the list above don't get the effect. Yeah, not actually sure why it didn't work there. But I digress. Because now that that's done, we can move on in our quest book and finally craft our mana dust right after we make a quick trip to Venus. Now luckily, in between episodes while I was building all that, we have, well, should have enough resources to get us to Venus. So let's take a look and start crafting. So I didn't actually compress the plates yet, and we're going to need how many of these? To complete the quest, it takes 10, and then they give us 2, and to make 10 of these will require 30 heavy-duty plates, 30 tier 2 heavy-duty plates, and 30 end steel plates. Quite a lot. So if we search for plates, we have a ton in here, so we're going to need 30 of these end steel plates, going to need 30 of these heavy-duty plates, and 30 of these regular plates. So now if we throw these into our compressor, and then put 10 in each, that should make enough heavy-duty plates. And then we also need to make our hyperthermal armor. And luckily, this is where Emmy Crafting Terminal comes in so well. Why doesn't thermal? There we go. Oh, isothermal, not hypothermal. Because I could just click through it, which is great. Now, in order to actually craft all of this, we're going to need the isothermal fabric, which comes from our thermal cloth, which is going to cost quite a lot. Because as you can see, to make one isothermal fabric takes 2 thermal cloth. So we're going to need 5 plus 8 plus 7 plus 4 for a total of 24 isothermal fabric, which means we need 48 thermal cloth. There we go, 48 thermal cloth. Now we have to combine these with our end steel ingots, and we're just going to try and craft all of it to make 24 isothermal fabric. And now we make our hat, we make our chest plate, gonna make our pants, and finally our boots. There we go, hyperthermal insulation. And it won't let me put it on. I think I gotta take off this stuff. There we go. Hyperthermally insulated for Venus. Put that away in there. Ooh, extra plates and some plastic. I'll move that. So now that that's done, let's grab our heaviest duty plates. Complete the quest to grab another 2. And now we have to craft the Tier 3 rocket, which will take 10 heavy duty plates for the body. And let's see, I believe, yeah, this is where it gets pretty expensive. So we're going to need additional heavy duty plates just to make the rocket fins. But we can substitute Enderium plates for these Tier 2 heavy duty plates, which is pretty good. I just wish there was an easier craft for this, but I guess that's not the case. What is that skeleton doing up there? Why are there skeletons spawning in there? Oh, there was a creeper that exploded and it probably took out the torches. That's likely what happened. Anyways, so we need to make the heavy duty cone, which will take an advanced control circuit. Done. Now we need to make the heavy duty rocket engine. Engine done. Now we just need to make the 2 Tier 1 boosters, and we can actually reuse this empty canister right here, so these should be done pretty easily. What are we missing? What is that? What's the bottom one? Ah, the oxygen vents. And done. 2 Tier 1 boosters. I'm surprised that there's no Tier 2 booster and just the Tier 1. That's very interesting. So now we just need to make the heavy-duty rocket fins. So let's go ahead and make 8 Enderium plates. And let's gather the rest of the resources to finish off the heavy-duty plates. So we're going to need 10 for the body, plus 4 times 4, so 16. So 26 heavy-duty plates in total. So we have 5, but we're going to need a little bit more. Now, don't mind the hole in the farm over there. I was thinking, oh, let me go clear out the mobs so I can plant some torches, get rid of the mobs. Yeah, there were a couple of creepers in there that exploded, and now there's a big hole in the farm. Anyways, we can craft our rocket. Oh, that's a Tier 1. We need a Tier 3. Tier 3 rocket, heavy rocket engine, Tier 1 boosters, heavy nose cone, rocket fins, and Tier 3 rocket is done. Best rocket quest completed. And with that, we can head off to Venus to get our solar dust. I'm not actually sure how we even get that, but we gotta make sure we're fully equipped. Where is my food chest? I think I left it over here. Here it is, perfect. Lots of oxygen. Oh, we should definitely replace that one. And now, after we grab our fuel, we should be good to go. Not sure where I left it though. It's a good question. Now I'm not actually sure I can do this, but actually no, I can't. If I break this, do I lose the fuel? Oh, we have fuel in here. Perfect. So let's go ahead and place down our launch pad, throw down our rocket, start to fuel it back up. Oh, this is oil, not fuel. Well, that's useless. This Tier 3 rocket doesn't really look that cool. You know what I mean? Luckily, I still had some Yellorium in our imbuer, so I was able to make a bit more fuel. And I also had the foresight to realize I can use our flux capacitors to power the fuel loader, so I don't have to bring more solar panels. So I upgraded this flux capacitor to signalum level to store 16 million RF, and even though it's not going to be full all the way, 2 million RF should be enough to power the fuel loader. So let's grab this guy and head off to Venus. It's also really convenient because you can carry this in your bauble slot, which means I can carry more stuff in my inventory. I almost made a very silly mistake. It's a good thing I checked my inventory one last time before we took off, because I didn't equip any oxygen. So that could have been very bad. So now we have 3 buckets of fuel, our fuel loader, energy, oxygen. Now we should be good to go to Venus. Alright, we've entered Venus's atmosphere, and it looks extremely hostile. There's no lights. Looks like gas everywhere. We're burning up on impact. Sounds like lightning and thunder. Hopefully we'll be okay. We're just here to collect some dust and then get out of here. Probably a lot of dust, so we don't have to come back anytime soon. Alright, we've made it. Touchdown. Let's grab our fuel, grab all of this, break you, and start searching. So we're here specifically for our solar dust, and I think I saw some around some of these lava pools over here. I think that's it. Volcanic rock. Is this it? Has no uses. Oh, maybe if I break it, because this has silk touch. Let's use the drill. And that makes lava. Okay, so I don't think that's the case. That could be useful though. So I'm not actually sure how we're supposed to find our solar dust. Now it looks like it's raining acid by the looks of it. You know, I'm not actually sure how we're supposed to locate solar dust. It doesn't have any craft or recipe. So I'm guessing we have to locate it in a dungeon. Let's see, there's some green stuff over there, sulfuric acid by the look of it. Well guys, it seems I've made a mistake. Venus is far more dangerous than I thought. It's broken my armor. The air conditioning doesn't work, it's not strong enough. And the flux capacitor doesn't actually charge the fuel loader. So I can't leave. Luckily the bug is fixed, so I will just respawn back on Earth. But this is really annoying. I thought with the isothermal armor we'd be good enough to survive on Venus. But between the acid rain destroying our armor and the lack of cold drinks to keep our temperature down, we're not going to make it. Now, I did find the dungeon. It's right here in this hole. But with my armor broken, I can't actually beat the boss. And we can't leave with the solar dust either. So I'm going to have to let it take me. And then we're just going to have to come back. Luckily, we have the resources to make a new rocket. But this is going to be very annoying. You know, it's funny. Because I was taking a look at the quest book. And when he says, you need this to barely even survive on the surface, he really meant to barely even survive on the surface. You have to bring more supplies than just that. But hey, at least the shell constructors work this time. But now I have to gather all the resources to make the new rocket so we can fly up there. At this point, since all my pneumatic gear is lost, I thought it would also be a good time just to invest into the flux-infused redstone arsenal gear so we can get the jetpack. Because as you can see here, you just take this guy, you can put a jetpack in it, and this is all stuff we can now pretty easily craft now. It's actually not that expensive anymore now that we have enderium and the like. So we can actually craft all of this. The only reason I haven't crafted it before this point was because there's so many steps, and without AE, to have one crafting terminal and get everything, I thought it would take way too much time to craft. But regardless, I didn't fix our end steel processing setup, so I'm gonna have to fix that so we can get more end steel so I can recraft all of our stuff. So I'm gonna build some armor, make some of these super cold drinks, as you can see are super cold drinks using our gelid cryoethium. Gonna make ourselves a jetpack, gonna make our rocket ship. We're gonna go up there, we're gonna fly to our body, we're gonna beat the boss, and we're gonna collect this solar dust. So just give me a couple in-game days, it's gonna take a little while. Shouldn't be too bad, but I'll see you in a second. Alright, I'm ready to go back to Venus and kick its butt. And the funniest thing, you know, the main reason I kept the pneumatic armor was because of the temperature regulation you get from, what is it called? From the air conditioning, right? I had completely forgotten that I could just craft a portable regulator. which does the exact same thing. So we have a portable regulator on, and you know what? I'm actually a fool because I forgot to make this stuff. So we actually can't go to Mars because we don't have any oxygen. That's funny. I got way ahead of myself and crafted everything else, but we can't actually do that yet. It is a little annoying though because the pneumatic armor did have the quality of life stuff that I like being able to step up on blocks. But I guess we'll have to do with that. We can just fly using the hover pack now. Oh, see, falling damage. That's something I have to worry about. That's annoying. Gonna have to remember to do that. But now we can fly like so. And wow, that's actually a lot of damage. I should probably put feather falling on these, right? Feather falling? Yeah, there we go. Feather falling 1 only costs a feather. Do I have feathers? Okay, we do have feathers from the mob farm, so I can actually make feather falling 4, which I'm gonna do. Otherwise, the fall damage is gonna get really annoying. Okay, so we're back on Venus. It's 180 degrees centigrade, but we have a portable temperature regulator. I even brought super cold drinks as a backup. So this should keep us cool enough on the planet. I brought 4 advanced solar panels to power it, and we only have to head 500 blocks to where we were before. So it's really close. So far our armor looks like it's in really good shape. Energy levels are solid. Temperature is staying consistent. Now I don't have any way to charge my gear, but I do have my 2 chargers on my body. So once we get back over there, we should be good. And with all the extra gear that we have on our corpse, we shouldn't need anything extra. Alright, we made it. So let's grab our stuff here. Actually, we don't need all of this now that I think about it. Like, we definitely don't need these super hot drinks, or this bottle, crash probe, the titanium. Sort this out, and we should be good to go. Let's see, anything in here we need? Nothing in particular. Temperature is solid. Our flux capacitors are keeping everything charged. Let me equip these to make a little bit more room. Let's see, we can eat some of this. We can eat some of the food to get some space back, but then we should be good to go. Now we will have a couple duplicates, but I'll save those because I can put them in our base. That way, if this happens again, I don't have to recraft everything to make it off the planet. So let's head in there and see what we're up against. Oh, where are my torches now that I think about it? There we go, grab our torches. Activate our sword. Swing. Activate the bow. Swing. Activate the quiver. Why does the quiver make a sound? Not sure. And let's go in. Now, luckily, all of our flux infused stuff was really cheap to craft. Kinda. Super cheap as in, since it all takes the fluxed electrum and we had tons of it, it wasn't that difficult. I can upgrade it to the gelid version at some point. Just not sure when I'll do that. Because it's not really needed. It is an upgrade, but it's gonna be a little bit annoying until I hook all of that stuff up to AE. Now, I'm not sure what kind of boss we can expect in here. The last boss was the evolved creeper boss, which wasn't super dangerous, it's just really annoying. That's why I did make the bow, just in case it's not another one of these. Ooh, food. Protection 3 and sieve efficiency, that's funny. Just in case this boss can just get attacked by something. Okay, this looks like the boss chamber. Not sure what to expect in here though. Spider Queen. Okay, I was not expecting that. Okay, luckily the bow makes very good work of all the little spiders, in addition to dealing tons of damage. Looks like she has a bit of an anti-cheese mechanic, as she can block all the damage while she's in her web, but the AoE on this made real quick work of that. Okay, good to know. If I did not have the flux-infused bow for this fight, I feel like it would have gone a lot less smooth. Tier 3 dungeon, Tier 3 chest. A shield controller. Shield controller protects armor from all forms of damage, including corrosion. Okay, now that's awesome. I was wondering what this slot was for. Golden apple, projectile projection 4, soulbound, grab the food. But there's nothing in here that we're looking for. We're looking for solar dust. Interesting. So we came here looking for solar dust, and it wasn't here, which means I kind of set this up too early. But where are we gonna go? Where am I supposed to find solar dust? Okay, so as you can see, I'm in creative. I jumped onto a different world. I explored 4 other dungeons, and none of them have solar dust as a reward, so I really have no idea how I'm supposed to get this. Alright, I finally found some. This is still creative, but it looks like solar dust comes from this solar ore. Alright, so since we know what we need to do, that means I need more inventory space. But at least what I can do is, where's my pickaxe? There's my flux bore and my diamond pickaxe. And this diamond pickaxe, and the diamond pickaxe is actually useless here because it has silk touch and we just need to break the stuff. So I guess we just need to dig down and find a cave. Hopefully this solar dust isn't too rare, but this is going to be pretty annoying because we're just going to have to find at least 4 dust and then get out of here. And see, this is what tricked me before. That's just copper ore, it's not our solar dust. And with that, I would say our work on Venus is mostly complete. We now have 29 solar dust, which we can now use in a physics-breaking apparatus, the Empowerer, to produce our mana dust. Now it is 1-to-1, so with 29 mana dust, with 29 solar dust, we can produce 29 mana dust. And then we have to take 4 of that and a block of Enderium to make a block of mana-infused metal, which we can then use to make 9 mana-infused ingots, which I think should cover pretty much all the remaining crafts. Because we need 3 to make an ultimate control circuit, and then ultimate control circuits actually don't have too many uses by the looks of it. Dimensional transceiver, massively parallel processor, and a speculative processor. So I'm not actually sure what we need these for. If we take a sneak peek at the final chapter, if we submit one, that'll finish this comm dish. Then this controller circuit takes advanced. The ender generator doesn't take any. It takes an ender resonator from the spice and slice. Reactant dynamo. An ME controller. The ship AI. So it seems like after we unlock the ultimate control circuit, that lets us craft a couple final items, but then everything else to technically beat the pack is already craftable at this point. It's just assembling it all together. But this episode has gone on quite long enough, so we'll finish that next episode. And as always, I'm your host, Hamis28, and I'll see you guys next time.